This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Like it or not, Portland is a drinking town. And on our show, we've certainly embraced that fact. We've talked about the best dive bars, historical bars, happy hours, neighborhood bars, and so on and so forth. But Portland is also home to one of the country's top cocktail scenes, with bars that make their own bitters, clarify their own milk, and serve drinks that somehow taste like a sunburn. So today on CityCast Portland, we are welcoming back Portland Monthly's Associate Editor of Food and Drink, Alex Frane, to share his current picks for the city's best cocktail bars. He's also taking us back to the very beginning of Portland's mixology scene so we can better appreciate how far we've come in the past 20 years or so. It's Wednesday, June 4th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Alex, thanks for hanging out. I love talking to you about alcohol.
Yeah. One day I'll come on here and we can talk about something that doesn't involve booze.
Oh, I thought you were going to say one day we'll hang out and actually have alcohol together.
Also that. That's also true.
Yeah. So when I think of a cocktail city, I do actually think of Portland. I feel like we have a really strong drink scene, but it wasn't always like that. I feel like in the early 2000s, this was just a tavern town. You couldn't really find a good cocktail. So, do you have a year where you're just in 2007,
yes,
we decided we were a cocktail town,
Yes, it is 2007.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. Which coincidentally is also the year. So my birthday's in December and I turned 21 in 2006. So basically 2007 was the first year that I was 21. But what you're speaking to, what I think really is not just Portland. There were other towns that started playing around with the idea of cocktails. And obviously cocktail bars in some form have been around in New York City and New Orleans since the turn of the century, or even before that, really. But what you're speaking to in 2007, 2006, and that era is what we like to call in the industry the cocktail renaissance. Which is sort of a term that I feel like has fallen out of use. But what it really spoke to was the fact that, so Prohibition happened in the 1920s. I think it ended in 1933. And then in the mid-century and into the 80s, you had this kind of turn away from bars in a way. There was a lot more focus on using psychedelics in the 1960s and cannabis culture.
The 80s was just cocaine.
80s was kind of mostly...
That's what I heard. I don't know.
And people were drinking, but you also saw the rise of vodka with things like the Moscow Mule becoming increasingly popular, and horrid drinks like the Harvey Wallbanger kind of making their heyday around that time too in the 80s. And in the 90s, you got into this kind of punky, gross, party bar culture with Sex on the Beach and Adios Motherfuckers and things like that. And then we had the cocktail renaissance in the mid-2000s. And what that was a literal renaissance, right? It was a rebirth. It was return to the kind of earlier days of really serious cocktails. And at the time, they were calling themselves mixologists, and everyone hated that.
Oh, yeah. And people were wearing little vests.
People were wearing vests.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And had mustaches like mine. You know, it was all insufferable. No, but it was really, it was a lot of really passionate, really serious people who were realizing things like vermouth doesn't taste bad. Good vermouth can be fucking delicious, and a good martini needs to have good vermouth in it. It's not just a bunch of cold vodka shaken and poured into a glass with a bunch of ice shards floating in it. And an old-fashioned isn't just a whole bunch of muddled fruits and cheap bourbon poured over cracked ice. Or around this time, you start having people carving larger ice cubes and pouring really serious. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people were literally making their own ice. I think we're past that.
I think we're past that, sort of. We still have bars that make their own ice, certainly.
Well, I feel like a lot of bars that I know, they buy them. They buy their ice, which is crazy.
Yeah, we can talk about places like PDX Ice a little bit later. But when I talked about 2007, the reason I picked that year in particular is that's the year that Teardrop Lounge opened in Portland. So Daniel Shoemaker was a bartender, and he was coming up from the Bay Area, and he opened Teardrop Lounge as Portland's really, in a lot of ways, first dedicated cocktail bar. I interviewed him in 2017 about his 10-year anniversary of Teardrop. And I remember him telling me that there was a guy who tried to fist fight one of the bartenders because his gin and tonic was brown, because they were making their own tonic syrup in-house that had some sort of coloring to it. And the guy lost his mind over that. So that was like the first bar that it was making its own bitters. It was serving, infused spirits mixed with vermouth that they were buying from Italy. And at the time, it was also a bar that was selling cocktails for like $12, $13, which was this sort of ludicrous amount of money to spend on a drink.
I mean, especially in Portland. I feel like
Absolutely.
At that time, that's how much beer was in New York City. But in Portland, it was just like, get out of here. You know?
And Portland was a beer drinking city, right? Like you said, it was a tavern city. I mean, people drank spirits, obviously.
But it was like a shot, Yeah,
exactly. You would have it next to you, you'd have Boilermakers. You'd have your locally crafted IPA, and then you'd have like a bourbon or a scotch or something. And then Teardrop Lounge came along. And it remains, to me, one of the best cocktail bars in town. What was fun was a couple years ago now, Dale Shoemaker and his team ran the original opening Teardrop menu with the original pricing.
Oh, wow.
And two things stood out about that. One, Teardrop Lounge has gone from being probably the priciest cocktail bar in Portland to one of the most affordable because its prices pretty much stayed the same. So it was wild that it was $12 back then. It's still wild that it's $12 now, but on a very different perspective, right? And so the other thing that struck me about trying cocktails off of that original menu was how bad they were compared to how good the cocktails are now. Like at the time, they were mind-blowingly cutting edge. But we've come so far as a city. Teardrop itself has come so far as a cocktail bar. It's evolved so much since then that these humble beginnings really were pretty humble. That these drinks that were so mind-blowing and so different in 2007 are now kind of passé.
And you're talking specifically their old cocktail.
Right. This was the 2007 opening menu.
Like, you drank it and you're just like,
Yeah, I drank one, and then I was like, you know what? Let me get something from the regular menu, because it was really fun being able to try this, but I want something that's really good, because they've stayed consistently on the cutting edge from the beginning. So for almost 20 years now, they've been making some of the best drinks in town. And I would argue probably, I can't think of a better bar west of the Willamette for cocktails.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the few West Side bars that when I'm on the West Side, like my partner and I are always like, oh, should we swing by the Teardrop? Just might as well. I will say, though, about the Teardrop Lounge, which is unfortunate, it's not their fault because of where they're at. It's a lot of people staying at hotels. So it has just a hint of like hotel bar vibe, but it's not the service, it's not the cocktails, it really is the clientele. And sometimes I want to kick people out. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm just like, you need to go. Like, you're annoying everyone. You're annoying the bartender. The bartender asks you what you wanted 5 times. And like, are you drunk now? Like, fuck, get out of here.
Right.
And the thing is, the bartenders are so patient, so nice. Like, I'm losing my shit.
And they're just handling it. Yeah.
And they're just like, this is my life.
Well, that's the thing. Like, a lot of Portland bartenders have come through Teardrop. Go to any cocktail bar in Portland, there's a pretty decent chance that they've at least like staged or worked some shifts at Teardrop Lounge.
All right, well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, we're getting into Alex's list of Portland's best cocktail bars. You can see over 50 large-scale Jurassic World dinosaurs, props, and scenes made from over 6 million Lego bricks in Jurassic World by Brickman, now open at the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. The exhibition will also give Lego and Jurassic World fans opportunities to put their creativity and engineering skills to the test, with activities including island building, creating new dinosaurs, and even building escape vehicles to get away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And this isn't just an exhibit, it's an immersive, interactive, and thrilling journey through the stories and characters you love from the Jurassic World franchise. Learn more at omsi.edu, that's omsi.edu. There are some big home games coming up this month for the Portland Timbers right here at Providence Park, like their Pride Night on June 8th when they're playing against St. Louis. They have a few surprises planned for the night, including a live drag show. And when you purchase a ticket for June 8th's Pride Night, it will come with a really super sweet limited edition scarf. I've seen them and they're really well designed. On June 13th, you can cheer the Timbers on as they play against the San Jose Quakes at their Spirit of 75 night. That's when they'll be honoring the inaugural North American Soccer League Timbers team that started playing in 1975. The evening will feature a halftime recognition ceremony honoring players from that very team, and you can be there to experience it all. Go grab your tickets now at timbers.com. That's timbers.com. Well, let's talk about some other places. Like, give us a list of 6 of your favorite cocktail bars in town right now. I want to know a name, and then I want to know why.
Okay, let's go ahead and start with one of my current favorites, which is the newest on this list. And it's been open for less than a year. It opened, I think, in November or December of last year, and that's Malpractice.
Okay.
Malpractice is a tiny bar. I think it used to be Great Ape. So it's tucked on 2nd and Yamhill on the east side, directly next to the train tracks. It has 4 seats at its bar and can fit about 16 other people in the space itself, which is good because it's a single person who's running this, which makes it unique. There's no other bar in Portland that I know of that is a single man operation. His name is Rick Monroe. He's crazy. He makes the weirdest cocktails in town. It started as a series of pop-ups. So Rick was running his pop-up as Malpractice for years, pretty much since the pandemic. And the reason that I really was so drawn to it is that having worked as a cocktail writer primarily for a long time, I got burnt out on the high execution, multiple ingredient, complex drinks. I started to get to that point where I was like, why do you want to fucking bother with a 5 ingredient drink? Just give me a good old fashioned, just give me a good martini, just give me a well-made Negroni. And Malpractice made me realize if you're going out to buy a drink, it should be something that you would have no ability to make at home yourself.
Yeah.
And that you're not going to find anywhere else. And that the work and the passion that he puts into these very strange drinks really elevate them past this kind of like self-aggrandizing, onanistic style of cocktails that it might look like on first impression, because it's so dialed in, it's so particular. And having spoken with Rick a number of times, he talks about the fact that he only serves drinks to people if the concept of the drink scares him a little bit. If he thinks it's going to weird people out, if he thinks it's going to freak people out, or people are going to hate it, he's going to put it on his drink menu. Once he loves it, only if he loves it, obviously.
Yeah.
And then once it starts to become popular, he'll often actually take it off the menu, which I know sounds like a little bit pretentious, but it's less pretension and more just his own weird kind of like neuroses around this.
Yeah. Well, I will say his drinks are $17. They do have more than 4 ingredients, and very much like of the milk clarified school of cocktail, which to me, I'm always just like, oh my God, this is taking so long.
Yeah, he pre-batches every single drink. So your drink is going to take less time than almost any drink in town because everything is pre-batched for that very reason, that it's all either milk clarified or acid adjusted or has shiso or miso infusions. One of my favorite drinks is this kind of spicy mezcal drink with aloe vera liqueur in it with a torched shishito pepper over it. It was inspired by, he wanted to make a drink that tasted like a sunburn feels. I think it's called Under the Volcano. And then he also has a series of drinks that are variations on a Negroni because he says there's no real reason to fuck with a Negroni. It's a perfect drink. So if he's going to, he might as well get real weird with it. And that's called Maladjusted. And those will kind of rotate in and out off his cocktail menu.
What are some other places?
Let's do a twofer for this next one.
Okay.
So one of my favorite places to go out eating and drinking in Portland is on Northeast and Southeast 28th, separated by Burnside, right in that corner of 28th and Burnside. They call it Restaurant Row sometimes. And there's 2 bars there. One of them has been around for quite a while now, and that's Angel Face. Angel Face is this gorgeous, has this marble horseshoe-shaped bar, and there's no cocktail menu. You just go in there and you ask for something based on whatever your taste is. And then Too Soon is much newer. I think it's been open a little over a year now. It was co-owned by Adam Robinson, who also owns Deadshot, which is another fantastic cocktail bar in Southeast Portland. It's just this very cool party bar. It's a nice mixture of like big party vibes and really dialed in, really cool cocktails. But the reason I combine those two is not just proximity, but also because at Too Soon, I order the bartender special, which is whatever the bartender wants to make you based on your recommendations.
Gotcha.
So my order is going to be the same at either one of those. It's going to be putting it in their hands. And that's really two of the only bars I know that have that explicitly on their menu.
Yeah. And if you've never done that, just to listeners, and you're just like, I want to try that, what they're going to ask you is essentially like, what liquors do you like and which ones do you not like?
Yeah. And you can also get more obscure than that too. You can also get more abstract than that. You can be like, hey, can I get a cocktail that tastes like I spent a weekend at the beach and now I'm back home in a cabin? And they'll be like, let's make you that.
Yeah, totally. Angel Face. Also, two such different vibes. Like
very different vibes.
Too Soon feels like, I mean, it's not, I don't think it is, but it feels like a kind of a fun gay bar. Like it just has this vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Like you walk in and people are like, hey, like welcome you in as you walk in. And Angel Face is more of just like a nod.
It's an elegant, classic. Right.
And the bartenders there are just always gorgeous. I don't know how they do it.
I have a friend who refuses to go on dates there because she said she's always going to feel less attractive than her bartender. She doesn't want to deal with that. This is a stunning woman. She's like, I will refuse to go on a first date to Angel Face.
Yeah, you're just like, I didn't know people this beautiful existed. And then they're really good at making you drinks.
Yeah.
Angel Face is very special. What's another place?
Let's do another twofer. How about that? So I think a lot of people know about Expatriate because I'd argue that Expatriate is in probably the top 3 most famous bars in Portland. It's been around for quite a while now. And
it won a James Beard for its...
It won a James Beard for its food, which was...
I thought it was for its bar.
Oh, no, I think you're right. But its food was also had a lot of recognition. The food menu was created by the late, great... Naomi Pomeroy, who I can't afford to talk about too much, or else I'm going to get real emotional. And then her husband, Kyle, he's the co-owner.
Mm-hmm.
But Expat, it's just this dark, lush, there's melted candle wax, there's somebody spinning records on a turntable.
Yeah.
And you're getting, once again, kind of expensive drinks, but they're always going to be just so well made and so dark and rich and expressive and lovely. I've never had a bad experience at Expatriate. I've never heard of anyone who has. Yeah.
I love that you're like, it's no one. If you go in there and you have a bad experience, that's on you.
That's on you. That's 100% on you. It's really what like a dark romantic cocktail bar should feel like.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's really nice. And I'm saying this because I know sometimes people are intimidated by cocktail bars or they go in and they're just like, I don't know anything. I'm going to leave now. But it's like people are just so sweet. I love that your twofers are bars that are like almost next to each other because I know your next pick is Wilder.
Well, that's what I'm going for. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because speaking of really nice bartenders, directly across the street from Expatriate is a bar that the neighborhood knows about and that its regulars know about. It's very much a regular bar. It's very much a neighborhood bar. The bartender / owner, Ben, who is a lovely Irishman with a thick brogue, will greet most people by first name. He knows almost everyone who comes in there. And it's just kitty corner from Expatriate. And Ben's making these really, really exceptional drinks over there, too. They're a little bit on the lighter side often. They're very fun, very breezy, kind of simpler drinks, but are always really neat and thoughtful. I remember I had one that had this ice cube with some sort of citrus juice or something else. And so as it melted, it actually changed what the cocktail tasted like. So it's like this lovely highball that transformed as you sipped it. Also, a killer food menu, fried chicken and fried broccoli.
Wilder at one point had my favorite burger in town because you could get it on polenta.
Oh, yeah. He does a lot of gluten-free options.
Yeah.
His house-made veggie burger is my favorite veggie burger in town, probably, or it's way up there at the very least. But just like, it's sort of the opposite from Expatriate in everything except quality, right? Like they're both these really exceptional bars, whereas Expat is kind of dark and moody and romantic and sexy, and Wilder is more fun and neighborhoody, and a little sexy. It's got the exposed brick.
It's definitely, It's got a little vibe. It's still date worthy.
Oh, I think it's a great date spot. Absolutely.
Another thing I will say about Wilder is they have a beautiful outdoor spot.
Yes, they had that plaza. They've taken over the street there since the
nice.
pandemic and still maintain it. Absolutely.
Perfect summer spot. I'm going to give another shout out. I'm going to do a threefer for your twofer because
let's do it.
Garrison is another bar of Ben's.
Yes, it is.
That is in St. John's, which is my cocktail bar. And I don't think it gets enough love, possibly because it's all the way up here, but it is one of the most excellent.
I fully agree.
The bartenders there are just so good at their job.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up because I agree. It does not get enough love. It is Ben's other bar. And also Garrison makes my style drink, like I've mentioned a few times now. I like stirred cocktails. I like dark cocktails. I like cocktails with rum and sherry. And there's, I think, like an entire section of the menu is basically just kind of like a Boulevardier variations. It's all just like stirred dark drinks with bitters and dark spirits. And that's just what I drink. So
But yeah, just shout out Garrison because that is an excellent, and the prices are still like early 2000s.
That's the other thing. Absolutely. For how good his drinks are, he keeps them remarkably low priced. Like I'm talking $11 drinks there.
Yeah. What's one more spot?
Okay, one last place that has to be mentioned if you're talking about the upper echelon of Portland cocktail bars is Rum Club, right? It's an industry darling. That's where bartenders always go and drink daiquiris after their shift or on their days off. It strikes that perfect level of really, really good drinks that are really well crafted by really serious bartenders who know what they're doing. And also this atmosphere that just wants you to go in there and treat it like your neighborhood dive bar, practically. I think I've heard people describe it as a dive bar. We've already talked about why that's demonstrably untrue.
What the hell?
Absolutely not. But I think why people say that is because it has this kind of attitude.
Comfort?
I mean, people do shot skis there, or at least they used to back in the day. You can go in there and get like a chilled Fernet shot and some rum and just kind of treat it like a party bar. I mean, it's a party bar with a really, really, really good cocktail program.
And fun food.
Yeah. I get their like tofu bowl often enough, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so if you had to pick what is truly the best cocktail bar in Portland right now, which by the way, like that's no diss to any other cocktail bar because our cocktail bars are just so good. Which is your pick?
The Yam Hill Pub.
Shut the fuck up.
The actual answer to your question is not the grimiest dive bar in Portland. It is, in fact, the polar opposite, the absolutely gorgeous, redolent, beautiful Scotch Lodge. Tommy Cluse, who was a bartender in Portland for many years. He also founded La Moule, also RIP, and was actually the original curator of the whiskey library.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yep. He built that program up. And then he also was the curator for Loyal Legion when they added their substantial, because, they have this astonishingly good whiskey collection there. Just up the street from Rum Club and from Loyal Legion and from, I think, a couple of the other spots we talked about is Scotch Lodge. Like I said, absolutely gorgeous, stunning bar. For right now, I think it's pretty hard to argue with the fact that Scotch Lodge is making just simply some of the best drinks you will have on the West Coast, not even just Portland.
Wow. Bold.
I mean, it's really like they know what they're doing. They've really perfected this idea. I have never had a bad drink there in my entire life. And I've had ones that are so memorable and will just blow me away. They can be a little pricey, obviously. This is kind of a splurge bar. You're going there because it's special, and it's really fucking special. My go-to order whenever I'm there is the Namesake. And it started off as the Black Lodge, which was a bourbon-based drink, and now it's a Scotch-based drink, and it has, I believe, like cherry hearing and some other things in it. And then just a lot of other really, really killer cool, weird drinks, including a couple of really excellent mocktails. It's something that I haven't really touched on much, but all these bars that I'm talking about have either a dedicated section on their menu or just willing to make you something really good without alcohol in it.
I will say also for Scotch Lodge, they have some of the best food.
Yeah, to that point, when I was working for Eater Portland, we had kind of a soft rule that there was no overlap between the Essential Cocktail Bar map and the Essential 38 list. And Scotch Lodge was the sole exception. It was on our Essential 38 for its food, and it was on the Essential Cocktail map for its cocktails. I think it was the only bar on the Essential 38s, which was a restaurant list because of how good its food is. It's pastas and it's soft shell crab sandwich. And oh my God, have you had the cheese sticks there?
No, I've never had their cheese sticks.
All right, Claudia, you got to get back in there like tonight and go get some of there. It's fried brie and they're coated in, I think, like pistachio or something like that. And then they have a verjus sauce, which is sort of like a non-alcoholic wine kind of. Yeah, no, it's flippin' unbelievable.
Me and soft cheeses with alcohol, it's a gamble. Either that is the end of my night. Do you know what I mean? Like I got to go home right then and there. Or gamble. And that's why I've never had it, to be honest. Because I'm like, do I feel lucky?
It's a modest enough serving. It's not going to kill you. It's just a couple little cheese sticks. It's the perfect way to start a meal, I would say. If you're going to have some pasta, if you're going to have some soft shell crab or whatever it is you're going to get there, start with the cheese sticks. Get that in the Namesake cocktail, and I promise you that is one of the best experiences you're going to have in Portland, culinarily.
I love how definitive you are with these statements.
I spent a lot of time thinking about this.
I believe you. Before we wrap up, how about some honorable mentions? Because I can't imagine you're going to walk out of here and you're not like...
There are so many bars I would love to talk about. I'm sure, if you're a bartender in Portland and you're listening and you're like, why the fuck hasn't Alex talked about my bar? I'm so sorry. I love you. There are so many places that are not making it on here. We can do some rapid fire stuff really quickly. I'm going to
Sure.
throw in a few. The Midnight over on Belmont, really fantastic bar. It's in my neighborhood, so I go there fairly often. Very large, focus on agave, broad cocktail menu that offers a lot of really cool styles in this kind of heavy metal, gothic themed
Ooh,
bar
nice.
with an underground venue that has a lot of bands. And last time I was there, there was a furry convention.
Oh, come on. That's great.
In the downstairs basement. I mentioned this earlier, but Deadshot over in Southeast Portland was one of the first bars to really start building some weird creative cocktails in town. I'm talking about drinks with like mustard or artichoke in them. I think they sold the mustard drink that it's like a whiskey sour with mustard and sesame, and it's like awesome. It's really, really good.
They made one of my all-time favorite drinks that I've ever had in this town, and it was like a Scotch coffee drink that you would think like this is not going to go well.
Yeah.
But it was so good, and then like homemade brittle at the top.
Yeah, see, they do weird stuff like that, and I love it. It's super cool.
Insane. And at that point, I didn't think I liked Scotch.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then let's talk a little bit about Libre. Libre is over on Southeast Clinton, right across the street from Dots, which I talk about as often as I can. Libre is from Nan Chasen, who is this really prolific restaurateur here in Portland. Also owns Nora, Mestizo, Paya Thai. Libre is really cool because it's the only bar in town I know that is a cocktail bar / dessert bar. Their pastry tech, Gabby, who is the co-owner, is brilliant. She makes these really, really amazing desserts, and it's just really, really wonderful. And then if I have one more minute, I would also like to shout out 3 other really quick bars. One of them is going to be Wonderly up in Northeast Beaumont area. Really stunning, beautiful marble bar. Very romantic, very lovely. Similarly, Bar West over in Northwest Portland. If I'm in Northwest Portland, I'm drinking cocktails at Bar West because I love that place. And then finally, also now moved from Division over to Northwest Portland is the kind of Cuban style, Miami style, New Orleans style daiquiri bar that is Palomar.
I love daiquiris, by the way.
If you love daiquiris, Rum Club, Palomar, those are your go-to spots in town.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for hanging out with me, going
Thank you.
through some bars. I feel like if I were like, hey, I'm going to go pick you up, we're going to a bar right now, which one out of all of these, which one would we go to?
I think the Garrison at this point.
Fuck yeah, that's where I'm going. All right.
Yeah.
Before we head out, a huge thank you to our final batch of new CityCast neighbors who joined during our spring membership drive. Big thanks to Emily G, Tina K, Hannah L, Silat Salwi, Slet CD, I hope we got that right, Chuck S, Gavin N, Scott M, Brian B, Hannah M, Bob and Sally L, Quinn M, JF, Mary KM, and Mike B. You too can become a member at membership.citycast.fm. There's a ton of perks, more details at membership.citycast.fm. Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.